Hey YouTube, this is Zach with Achilles Financial, and today I'm going to be talking about NVDA once again. This is the stock that I covered in my last video, which I will link in the description as well as on the screen here. But I wanted to highlight that if you own 100 shares of NVIDIA, which at this point in time would be quite difficult to purchase, and at some point in time today the stock was even higher than it is currently, hit a new, once again, all-time high as of today. And there are going to be certain individuals who are wondering, does it make sense to sell at this point in time to get out of the stock? And something that we had looked at previously when Tesla hit their all-time high a few years ago, I talked about this idea that you could make a massive amount of money selling long and covered calls. Now, at this point in time, if you have held NVIDIA for an extended period of time, odds are you're probably not looking to sell calls at this point in time, recognizing that you don't want to lose those shares that you have held since a lower point. However, if you don't necessarily have any concerns about the idea of selling calls associated with your NVIDIA shares, then I think that this is an option to look at because these options are absolutely wild. So within the Robinhood platform, if you have options trading enabled, this is something that expires in 2 days, so I am going to go out by at least one more week. But if you were to sell a call for the 620, so sell, call, the 620, that's 1235. So that means that right now, you selling this, someone is willing to pay you $1,235 for the right to purchase those shares if the stock price is above $620 a share as of next Friday, which would be the February 2nd. Now, the only way you lose on this trade is if at that point in time, the stock price is higher than $632.35. Now, while that is an option that once again is not going to be attractive to someone who's been holding their shares since $100 a share, $500, or maybe even $600 a share, the fact of the matter is that you can collect $1,200 today without any additional fees that are going to be listed there. Now, to be able to sell a covered call, you would have to have 100 shares of NVIDIA, which is going to be $60,000. And you may look at that and say, Zach, I don't have $62,000 to purchase those shares, at which point this conversation is probably useless. However, in a single week, you're able to generate a 2% return and potentially lock in a large sell on these shares where you may have had a very strong position and you have already had a very strong year. I mean, if you had purchased this at the beginning of this calendar year, then you would see that you would have already recognized nearly 30% return, and you can collect a 2% return just week over week if you were to purchase that today. Covered calls are a great way to generate income associated with these shares. And this is something that I would highlight as just yet again another option that you have to leverage the shares that you have in an individual position. And because NVIDIA is absolutely wild right now in terms of its performance, it is a way that you can generate some of those crazy income figures and collect that cash today. At this point in time, I was talking about a week out, but what if you were under the opinion that this is the high that the stock is going to hit for the calendar year? What I would highlight is that you have the capability to sell these, the same 620 call that we were just looking at, for $105 a piece. Now, this is something that I would highlight. If you were to sell this, again, you would need 100 shares, but you would be collecting more than $10,400 at this point in time. Now, based off of current projections and what we're seeing in the stock, there's a high probability that NVIDIA will surpass 620. Whether it stays there or not, I think will continue to be up for debate. And where it's going to be in another 11 months is something that will definitely be up for debate. We've seen stocks like this that have not hit these same highs for an extended period of time. And who's to say what's going to happen with stock market valuations this year? But you can collect $10,500 today. That would be cash that would be deposited in your account, and you would only lose these shares if they were called upon if the share price was over $620 a share. You would only come out a loser in this trade as if those shares were over $724 when they were taken away from you. So I think that there's a lot to look at, and it's just good to understand your options when you have the capability to sell covered calls, particularly on these positions where the price has ran up a significant amount and you're not ready to take anything off the table, but maybe you want some of the cash in your pocket. So NVIDIA is an interesting one to watch. We'll continue to evaluate a number of these stocks on a go-forward basis. Hope you found this helpful. Talk to you later.